Howdy guys, Radio Magic here. I hope you're all having a fantastic morning, afternoon, evening, whatever you're up to, wherever you are. Today we're going to be continuing our mini-series on the channel with how viable is Control in the historic meta, and it was a toss-up between Esper or Bant. It was really close, and I decided I was in the mood for Felidar Retreat, so we decided to go Bant, and Esper's really close to Jeskai in what it's trying to do. This is a little bit different and trying to close the game a lot faster than the other control lists. To call this control might be a stretch, but this is my take on Bant Control. We can go down the route of maybe playing more counter magic and less ramp, but I want to take advantage of what green has to offer in this color combination. So if you guys don't want to listen to a deck tech and know exactly what the series is about, then go down to the description now because there's a load of timestamps down there for our games. I think we played about 5 of them. So yeah, you can skip over this, don't have to listen to my boring voice, can go on and yeah, there's a quick glance at the sideboard as well in case you wanted to have a look at that. But for those of you who don't know, at the moment we're doing a mini series on the channel with how viable is Control. We have currently done Jeskai and Azorius, which followed straight after Jeskai, and now we are on to Bant. I don't know which colour combination we're going to do next. It might just be Esper, since I was really in the mood to do that as well, and then on to either Dimir or Grixis, but Grixis I'm kind of struggling how to build. On a side note, if you've got a good Grixis control list, let me know down in the comments below what your list looks like, so I can maybe take some inspiration. But yeah, this is my take on Bant Control, and this is the third control list up in the on the mini-series at the moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run really quickly over the list and yeah, let you guys sort of decide for yourself, watch the games. I just want a little disclaimer as well. I am not the best control player by any stretch of the imagination. I really enjoy the archetype of Control. It's one of my favourite archetypes, but I'm not the strongest player at it, so I do my best and just enjoy playing it while having some fun with it as well. But yeah, I'll go through the list and let me know what you guys think. So on the 2-drop slot we have 4 sensors. This is something that works. This does like double time, double work, whatever it is. This does a lot of work in this list. It's really good because once your opponent sees this, they're going to have to play around it. It cycles early, so if you are missing land drops, it's really good, which is good with our Felidar Retreat. And also with Uro, it works really well because it's going to fill the graveyard for Uro at the same time. We also run 2 Explores. We're running this as our 5th and 6th mana acceleration on top of Growth Spiral. Real simple, as in you can lay an additional land, draw a card. This is sorcery speed, Growth Spiral's instant speed, but obviously you need to pay instead of just green and colourless. Then we have Growth Spiral, the same as Explore, but at instant speed. You get to put a land into play. Then we're running 3 Hydroid Crasises, which probably should be at the end of the curve. This is our refill our hand in the late game, our payoff for ramping so much. We get to draw X cards. It's a flying jellyfish with Flample, which is flying and trample, and you can, whenever you cast this spell, you gain half X life and draw half X cards rounded down each time. And then Hydroid Crasis enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on this. So if we cast this for X equals 4, that's 6 mana altogether. It's going to enter as a 4/4, and we will draw 2 and gain 2 life. Pretty exciting. You probably all know what Hydroid Crasis does. But once we're running all of the lands, 28 lands I think in the list, and ramping so much, this is a good way to end the curve. And because it's an X cost spell, it can be played at any point on the curve. We're also running 2 Narsets. Narset can grab anything in the list apart from Uro and Hydroid Crasis. Really relevant. She's also shown up in all of the other control lists that we've played so far. So yeah, pretty strong staple in blue control lists. Absorb as our counterspell of choice. You can actually probably play Disallow in a place for Absorb, and when we come back to tailor this list and refine it a little bit, we might play Disallow instead, since Uro's in the list and he sort of acts as our life gain, so we don't really need Absorb at the same time. We'd probably rather have the flexibility of either Disallow or even Sinister Sabotage might be a shout, since it again fills the graveyard for Uro. Then going on to the great Titan himself, Uro, the Titan of Nature's Wrath, a 3 mana 6/6 legendary Elder Giant. I don't really need to go over this, I'm going to skip straight over this. You guys know what this guy does. He's extremely oppressive, but relevant and necessary when playing Simic. Then we have the namesake card of the deck, what I've built the control list around: Felidar Retreat, a 4-mana enchantment with landfall, and you either get to create a 2/2 cat beast creature token, or you get to put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control, and those creatures gain vigilance until end of turn. So a common question I hear people asking quite a lot is, when do I know when to put a 2/2 cat into play, and when do I know to put a +1/+1 counter on creatures I control? The general rule I try to follow is, if you have more than 2 cats in play, it's more often than not correct to put counters on them, since you're adding more power. Overall into play. But that really depends on the situation. You need to judge it hand by hand. If you're going to have lethal on your opponent this turn, then obviously put the counters on it. If you're going to set up for lethal next turn, then it's probably better to put the cats on, especially if you've got like Fable Passages and extra ways for landfall. This is also what I've built the control list around. In the other control lists, in Jeskai, we tried to stall the game quite a bit. In Azorius, we tried to close the game really quick with Torrential Gearhulks and Dream Trawlers. In this list, we are also trying to close the game really quick with Felidar Retreat. So this is our control payoff. We're trying to grind our opponent out some counter magic, some Teferis, Narsets, and then slam our opponent as fast as we can with multiple Felidar Retreats if we get them in play. Or we're using Uros, Explores, and Grove Spirals to put tons of lands into play to get loads of cats really quickly. And hopefully we've got enough mana that we can also stop our opponent from interacting with us with our Sensors and Absorbs. We're also running Wrath of God. This is the same reason we're running any Wrath of God or any board wipe in any list, is that we need to 2-for-1 our opponent sometimes. We need that extra value. And sometimes you just need to mop up your opponent's board. So yeah, 4 mana board wipe is there. We're also running 2 Elspeth Conquers Death. This is the same as in the other lists. I think we're running 2 in the other lists as well. Really good card, really good value. Exile target permanent, then non-creature spells cost more, and then you get to return something. This is going to either return our Narset, our Teferi, or our Uro. So Uro, when it returns with Elspeth Conquers Death, will sacrifice itself on ETB, the same as it normally would because it hasn't escaped. But it essentially replaces your Elspeth Conquers Death, and you get to put a land into play and gain free life. So all good. We're also running 2 Teferis, another staple along with Narset and like our 3-mana counterspell in these control lists. Really good value engine if he goes unchecked, which I think he did in a few of the matches. This gets completely out of control. Onto the mana basis, we've actually been a little bit greedy by playing 2 Crawling Barrens. This is something I've seen popping up in Historic a little bit recently, and I have been extremely impressed with this land. I think this is going to be something when we come back to refine our control list, especially Azorius. We will be running a number of Crawling Barrens, since I think this card is excellent. We actually had in a few of our games that we actually had colourless mana and didn't have our colours because of the Crawling Barrens. So maybe you want to drop to one of these instead. But I definitely think we should find space for this, since we are running a 28 land deck. We're also running 4 Fable Passages, and like Censor, this does a lot for the list, more than it would normally do. It fills the graveyard for Uro, but also gives us double landfall triggers on our Felidar Retreat. There is also an argument to running a few number of Evolving Wilds, since in dedicated Felidar Retreat lists, there's normally 2 or 3 Evolving Wilds will show up. But since we're a control list, I didn't want to run them just in case we can't curve out as necessary, since a turn 3 Felidar Retreat is always fun. The rest of it, we're just running some shop lands, some dual lands. We're also running 2 irrigated farmlands in there, 1 Castle Ardenvale just before a little bit of value, since very rarely is this going to enter tapped. In the sideboard, since we're playing best of 3, running 3 Authority of the Consuls. This is our aggro hoser. This is going to slow down goblins, hopefully, and just nerf any hasty threats that our opponent might have. 3 Grafdigger's Cage, this again for goblins and other bits. The colourless list struggles to answer this, slows them down quite a bit, since Mystic Forge doesn't, it casts stuff off the top of your library, so Grafdigger's Cage stops that. There are ways around that, but yeah, our opponent hopefully going to slow him down. 2 Sealaways is a bit of interaction, since unlike the other control lists we're not running any 2-mana interactions, so if we need some, we can bring this in. Dovin's Veto for the control matchup when we need counterspell 9 and 10 to bring in. Pretty self-explanatory. Normally in control sideboards, I run some number of these. 2 Timely Reinforcements, since we are very, very light on interaction. And in the Magro matchups, we want to board these in so we have some, can buy ourselves some time, if you will. Also, board wipe 3 and 4 have come in the form of Settle the Wreckage instead, since I was going to run 3 and 4 of Wrath of God, but we had limited space in the sideboard, so I thought I would mix it up with another effect, because I think Settle the Wreckage is definitely worth consideration when talking about board wipes, since it does exile and there are some indestructible threats that we do have to worry about, and instant speed like goblins is something that Settle the Wreckage is really good at. And then we're running another ECD for control matchups, just games that want to take it long. So I've played an unholy amount of Sultai control over the last few days, so ECD is really good against that matchup as well. But that is the list. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. And yeah, if you like the video, drop it a like and subscribe if you can be asked. If you can't, don't worry about it. Just enjoy the gameplay. But this is my take on Bant Control. Okay, we are going first with some Bant Control, I guess. This hand's a little bit slow, but we got our Uro. We'll see what we're up against. We're against Yorion Sky Nomad, so maybe like Doom Foretold. We'll keep. Felidar Retreat's not going to be great against Doom Foretold. Our general matchup is not particularly good against them. We're going to have to rely on counter spells if that is the case, and it looks like it might be. I think we're going to... I guess we need to hit double white eventually. So if our opponent is on Doom Foretold, we might be in a bit of trouble. They could have a Four.Vs here. No Four.Vs, but we're going to Uro. Double Felidar Retreat. So if we can get down the Felidar Retreat, get a trigger, and then maybe next Felidar Retreat, then we might be able to outrun this Doom Foretold. So let's get this down. Make a cap. And then hopefully we just keep drawing lands now, and we can play Felidar Retreat and make another cap. Opponent's going to Oath. Ooh, Fable Passage was a good one. So we're going to make cats here. Just try and go kind of wide, and we're going to Growth Spiral. What do we need? Blue, white. I guess blue or green. I'll go get blue. And then I guess we'll just pass the turn. So we could have done that, I guess, in our opponent's turn. That would have actually played around a board wipe if our opponent has one. They have an ECD, so I presume they're just going to be getting the Felidar Retreat here. Looks like we didn't hit land. Land would have been nice. So I think we're just going to ECD theirs. They could Yorion next turn, which is why we're going to just get this down now. I don't really want them to blink that and then be able to kill our other Felidar Retreat. And it looks like Doom Foretold confirmed, so the Oath of Kaya, that's why it's there. Going for the second Oath of Kaya. Just trying to gain a bit of life, I would assume, and just kill off as many of our creatures as possible. Yeah, and they got triple Oath of Kaya. This is going to mop up our tokens. Okay, land. We have 3 cards in the graveyard. Guess we'll go digging first. I think Teferi's fine. Let's see what we draw. I think we're just going to put counters on now. Just prioritize damage this turn. And we actually have a land drop still, so we're going to cycle since I don't think Sense is going to be that great anymore. Yeah, that's fine. Put another counters on. Not that our opponent's going to have any more oaths, but if they did, then I guess that'd be okay. So opponent can't draw, but they do have to discard. A little bit of a nombo. Teferi, Master of Time, not too great against a Narset. Get to get back Uro here. Obviously, we have to sacrifice it straight away. Just kind of hoping to draw lands. Land's great. Opponent's going to scoop it up there. So yeah, Felidar Retreat taking over there. So yeah, like Bant Control, kind of control, like we said. Like loosely. Okay, against this list, Yorion. Opponent is going to have a lot of non-creature spells, I would imagine. Wrath of God's not going to be too great. I think I like just this. Let's cut 1 card. I guess we'll trim on like a Censor maybe. Okay, Bant Control against Yorion. I assume Doom Foretold. We haven't seen the Doom Foretold, but yeah, we're going to keep this. So we get to hold up Sensor, but it's more likely we're just going to cycle this Sensor. Or not. We'll see what our opponent's got. They maybe take the Felidar Retreat. Don't worry, opponent. We drew a new one. So might Sensor here. More likely we're going to cycle. I guess if that was our plan, we should have probably played the Fable Passage. I guess I kind of like it because we threaten the Sensor. And 28 lands. We should draw land. There we go, but obviously it's not promised. So just going to put this Hinterland Harbour into play and probably cycle this Sensor just for more land drops. Another card in the graveyard for Uro. And then next turn we have Felidar Retreat into double land. Fable Passages really do overtime in this list since they help the Uro and the Felidar Retreat. Opponent kept both on top. Thought maybe we'd go into a Four.Vs there. Or double Felidar Retreat. Maybe we want to hold it. Opponent probably has an ECD next turn. Might have a counterspell now. Unlikely. I think yeah, let's make one cat. We'll be a bit greedy. Because if we get down the second one next turn and we can double Fable Passage, that's going to work so much better. If opponent has a removal spell, it sort of works out the same way anyway. We still only get the 2 triggers. There's just more of an upside this way. So, Felidar Retreat. Let's play land. And I think we're just going to make a load of cats. So if our opponent has a Yorion in hand, might be a little bit in trouble. Let's go get green source. Let's make another cat. And then we'll probably be putting counters on them now, since we know our opponent has oaths. And we can Hydroid Crisis for X equals 5. So we should have put counters on. So we'll do X equals 6. Get to draw 3 cards. And yeah, get to do a Crisis again soon. I think our opponent's running Four.Vs, yeah. So we probably want to get this Crisis out of our hand. See what our opponent does here. Just going to answer this Crisis. Opponent's going to scoop it up there. Felidar Retreat and Hydroid Crises are pretty difficult to answer. You get to put extra lands into play as well. But yeah, let's move on to the next one. Okay, we are on the play. And this hand looks a little bit rough since we don't have any blue mana. So we're going to mulligan. This hand only has 2 lands. So probably going to mulligan. This hand looks a bit better. We'll keep. I guess we'll put a Breeding Pool. And the Absorb. This way we can accelerate into Felidar Guardian. Felidar Retreat. Not Felidar Guardian, that'd be awful. And yeah, hopefully our opponent doesn't turn 1 Four.Vs us. So kind of just hoping to draw lands here. So we get to Felidar Retreat next turn. But we have mulligan twice on the play. So we have... What does our opponent have? 7 cards in hand, and we have 4 now. So, going to hope this Felidar Retreat gets to work before our opponent can answer it. Opponent's going to Narset, which is unfortunate, since it kind of shuts down our Uro. Shuts down a lot of our card draw cycling effects. Second Felidar Retreat. See what our opponent's got. We're missing land drops, but every draw should be relevant now, unless it's like a growth spiral. I guess we can growth spiral in our opponent's turn. So our we run 2 explores, so the explore that's left in our deck is probably our worst draw. I'm sure our deck will provide us something worse. No, Crawling Baron's actually quite good. Just gonna make some cats. And then we should be able to answer this Narset now. I'm just gonna kill that response, that's fine. We're just gonna hold up Absorb. If our opponent does nothing, we will put the counters on Crawling Barons. Opponent might have like an ECD here. Teferi, yeah, we're gonna try and kill that. So kill that, we're gonna counter that. Yeah, I think we're just gonna play Uro. Save this ECD for when we have some extra value. Yeah, we'll put Crawling Barons into play. And now our opponent's kind of forced to answer our board. Yeah, opponent's going to answer it. Gonna make 2 more cats. So opponent can answer our board for quite a while, but they're going to need to answer the Felidar Retreats ultimately. They have a Gideon. Maybe they have the Absorb as well. So we're just going to put some counters on the Crawling Barons here. Kind of a shame we drew both of our Crawling Barons. But, you know. Oh, opponent's going to end our turn. Nice. Let's see if we even get an extra turn. Our opponent might just take all the turns here. I think it'll be difficult with 3 cards in hand and no way to generate card advantage. So I played against this Jeskai list a few times, and yeah, it looks like a pretty fun list. The opponent's just going to keep taking all the extra turns. Yeah, opponent, that's fine. At least we get to do something with our Crawling Barons. Maybe we should be making 1/1s. I guess this is better in case our opponent board wipes. So opponent's going to lose the game, but obviously they can't lose the game because of Gideon. But we have a 6/6 Crawling Barons now. Kind of like... do we just animate? I think we'll just animate, actually. Just try and kill this Gideon now. We have a second one if our opponent has an answer. If our opponent has a settle, I think that's fine, since we have the Felidar Retreat. No, just Torrential Gear Hulk. So they might chump here. Or they're gonna combine these together. So Max punished, I guess, for not putting counters on. Just gonna make some more cats since it doesn't feel worth putting counters on, since our opponent, if they have threats, like an answer to a single creature, then it works out better for them, and also the Gideon's like stopping one thing. But we have our second Crawling Barons. Opponent's gonna try and close the game quickly. I guess we'll play around Censor. They might have a Pact of Negation here. Nope. So at the very least, this ECD is going to get back our own Uro. We're also 1 card in the graveyard away from being able to escape Uro. Surprised our opponent didn't just tick up just to get the extra loyalty. Nice. Yeah, we'll put this land into play. So yeah, chance for glory. So our opponent has the, I assume they have the Narset commit memory trick with like a torrential as well. So they're probably looking at taking all these extra turns, then putting that back in the list, and putting them all back in the list and doing it all again, and then just beating us down with this Gideon in the meantime. Hopefully all of our draws are relevant draws at this point, since 2 Felidar Retreats, all of our lands are. And Fable Passages are just insane at this point. So just a Sensor, just going to cycle. Land's good. It's going to make 2 cat tokens. And again, we're just going to pump up the Cinder Barons. Cinder Baron. I guess we can escape Uro. Yeah, I don't mind escaping Uro. If our opponent has an answer to it, then we get it back with the ECD. All packed. Nice. So like I said, we still get it back next turn. Only for 1 trigger, but an extra card's good. Opponent's going on the defensive. Yeah, we'll get back Uro. Opponent might Glorious End us here. I wonder how many they're running. I think we've already seen 2, haven't we? Seen 2 Glorious Ends so far. Ooh, nice. Oh, they're copying the trigger. They're countering the trigger, creating a copy and drawing. I guess we could draw a counterspell here. Nope. That's some extra value there. Oh, they just counter the trigger. They don't draw an extra one. So we could kill Gideon here, and I think we will. I think I'm going to favour killing the Gideon above the Hydroid Krasis, since even if our opponent has a counterspell next turn, we still get to draw with the Krasis. Our opponent could have upticked the Gideon on the Crawling Barons. That might have been better. So yeah, that was a really good Sublime Epiphany. They got to kill one of our creatures, counter that trigger, and draw a card. Looks like they're going to start working on these Felidar Retreats now. It's going to Krasis for 7, draw 3. Opponent's got the Pact, but they will have to pay for that in their upkeep. No getting away from that. And we can ECD their ECD next turn. So they can't get back their Gideon. Or Teferi. Opponent's going to scoop it up. We probably just play the irrigated farmland there and make our things 3/3s since it still adds the same power to the board. So Jeskai Control, probably just want to bring in our counter magic and our further ECDs. And what do we want to cut in this matchup? Maybe we just like have to trim, take out our explorers, take out a sensor, since I think this list is built. Well, I guess we take out our rafts actually. I don't know why I didn't take that out straight away. We'll leave in the sensors since that's going to get our opponent more. Stopping that turn 3 Gideon is going to be quite essential. Okay, we are against Jeskai, take extra turns and don't lose the game. Control, and we're going to match that up against our Bant Control. We was able to take game 1 and we're going to hopefully try and take game 2 here. This is an okay hand. We can stop our opponent's turn 3 Gideon. I guess like it's difficult to stop the turn 2 this turn 3 Gideon, since if they have Pact they can stop our sensor. But we are going to try. Maybe we just go for the ramp, actually. That might be how we beat Jeskai. I think we're gonna go to try and stop the Gideon. So our opponent doesn't have land drops. We're just gonna... Oh, opponent's just gonna scoop it up there. Okay, they missed the land drop, and because of that, they're gonna concede. Okay, Bant Control. We're missing white mana, but we're gonna keep this. We're gonna hopefully hit a white source in 28 lands, so we have 25 left of them in the list. And if not, at least we get to do Uro. But yeah, we hit land. Lucky, lucky. We don't have double blue for Narset, but I think we would lead on Uro into Felidar Retreat. Looks like our opponent might be on the Jeskai, take extra turns until you go blue list. Or they could... No, they're probably on the Colourless list that they're playing last zone. Much more likely. The Colourless list, what do we think about that? I don't think we have very good odds against that, since Ugin's going to wipe away our entire board. Next turn we get to go Felidar Retreat though, or we could go to Fairy. Yeah, definitely colourless here. Probably just gonna... So opponent has 4, 5, 6 mana. Probably just going to get Teferi in play. Maybe we just want to put pressure. It's probably against the colourless list more effective to just put pressure into play so we can take out this Ugin. Or knock our opponent down far enough before they cast the Ugin. We could see a Forsaken Monument this turn. Just Maze Vine Tome. Probably just going to cast the Teferi now. We're gonna make a few more cats before we start getting in there. We'll wait till we've got a turn where we can put them dead in 2. Or you want to wait to have more than 2 cats in play. Since if you put the counters on more than 2 cats, then it's more than 2 power. But if it's just 2 power, unless you have lethal on them, it's probably better to just make the extra cat. This is also a reason to go wide instead. Yeah, here comes the Ugin. And it looks like our opponent tapped down, so Sensor's going to work out quite well here. Our opponent tapped down, yeah, like... Bet they kind of wish they waited one more turn. And I think we're just going to try and stop this Ugin. Just put this Hedron Archive a bit deeper. Yeah, we're gonna make another cat. And we're gonna Narset. So we can't cast an Absorb off the Narset, but we can go grab an Absorb for next turn. And there it is. Just gonna pass the turn holding up the sensor. So as long as we can dodge an Ugin, we should be okay. And our opponent can't draw any more cards with these Maze Mind Tones as long as we have Narset out. Yeah, opponent can have all the ramp. Probably just gonna cycle here. Just wanna hit more land drops, I think. Put more cards in the bin for Uro. I think Sensor's fine, since Sensors essentially could be a land drop. And it's an extra card for Uro. So we can animate Cinder Baron. What's this? This is Legendary Creature or Planeswalker. So we can animate the Cinder Baron's attack, shock. No, that won't work. We'll just play this tapped. And we're gonna put counters on these now. I guess we maybe could have played... No, we couldn't play Duro. Just trying to think of all the things we could have done. So opponent gets to draw one card. They might wanted to off Scryed actually first. Opponent's going to Scry second. I guess they don't want the Hedron Archive. Makes sense. But hopefully these two Absorbs are going to lock down this colourless list for long enough. And if our opponent can't gain any life, we have 12 power with a land. So we'll see what our opponent's got. So yeah, we're gonna stop this since it takes away all of our pressure. Opponent's gonna scoop it up there. So colourless list, splashing black for extinction event, I guess. Probably gonna want the vetoes because it's essential we stop this Ugin. Grafdigger's Cage stops their combo, their Paradox Engine combo. So I like that. So probably cut the Uro since it hits us hard, and the Wrath of Gods. And run it like that. Could bring in the ECD as well. That could be a consideration. And I think if we're casting ECD, we've lost. Okay, game 2. And yeah, this is a keep. All of our colours of mana. We can cast our Dovin's Veto, Censor. This is a very controlling hand. Just want to hit land drops now, I think. Opponent gets some early ramp out there. If they go for Hedron Archive, we will... Well, if we get the chance to censor anything, we will here. If not, we will Growth Spiral. Nope. Opponent's just going to draw now. So double Censor at the ready, or Absorb, or Dovin's Veto, number of things. So our opponent has the 1 mana available. Can we just allow this? So probably just gonna Censor first. So in case we hit land, and then we're gonna Growth Spiral. And we'll shock this in. So we get to Censor again. Since we have enough counter magic, we just need to hit lands. Maybe a Felidar Retreat. And I like Teferi here, just tick up and we get to hold up Absorb. Probably can play... No, we'll just wait a turn. So got our counter magic available, and our opponent needs to find an answer to this Teferi. They can draw all the cards they want. They must find an answer. Can't. Opponent has 1 mana available. I think we're gonna just veto. And a cycle. So we can Hydroid Crisis for 4, and then we get to hold up Absorb. And that starts to put our opponent on a bit of a clock as well. And we have backup Teferi if our opponent is able to answer this first one. So Ugin. Opponent's playing around Censor like a bomb. I think we're going to have to let this go. We have to save this for the second Ugin. Since if our opponent wants to answer the Teferi, then we can kill it with the Hydroid Crisis. Gonna get some free artifacts here. So we'll censor this. Hopefully we're gonna run our opponent out of threats here. We'll start by answering the Ugin. So can only play Teferi or Narset, and I think we're going to lead with the Narset. Since it stops our opponent drawing with this Maze Mind Tome. Yeah, just more absorbs are really good here. So opponent might just be on Colourless. They might not be on... probably... We'll just play out the Cage, but probably didn't need to shock there. Or we could have tapped our mana better and not tapped the Cooling Barrens. Arena has a tendency of tapping these lands whenever you need to spend colourless mana, which I can understand why, but difficult. I think it's just going to provide too much card advantage, Khan. So opponent can kill Narset here. I'll put Narset to 1. So tap the Crawling Barrens again, but we don't mind since we get to untap lands. So our opponent can kill Narset here, but I think we're just going to start to close the game as quick as we can. This absorb is saved almost exclusively for an Ugin, and there we go. That's got to be the what, like? Oh, it's only the second absorb. Second absorb. We've gone through all of our sensors. So Dovin's Veto is good here. So not a Felidar win. This is a typical control win. Get your Planeswalker down, defend it, and yeah. So we can Hydroid Crisis for 10, holding up Dovin's Veto. Oh, we can do it for 8, I guess. We have 10 mana. And then if our opponent doesn't have an Ugin here, they have 2 turns to have an Ugin, and they have to have an Ugin both turns. Ugin number 1. Opponent's gonna scoop it up there. I think that was like the upteenth counter spell that they're playing through, and I can understand that. Okay, we get to go first with some Bant Control, and we're against Gigantha, so that normally means like goblins. This hand is not good enough against goblins, so we will mulligan. This hand probably isn't good enough again, but we're going to keep this, since I don't want to mulligan any lower. And we have a sensor if I can try and catch our opponent off guard. Ah, maybe not goblins, but like Jund Sacrifice or Rakdos Sacrifice. So I really like to draw a blue source next turn, ideally. Yeah, we're gonna stop that Dreadhorde Butcher, since that probably would have killed us all by itself. So could Crisis for 1, but I think we're going to Crisis for 2 next turn, just so we can draw a card. Would like some value off of this if possible. Felidar Retreat's actually quite good, and we get it under the Fortseas. Not under it, but we get it down before our opponent can Fortseas it. So hopefully we draw land, or draw like Growth Spiral into land, or we draw Board Wipe. Board Wipe would be quite good. Shame. Not hitting land drops in 28 lands. Hear me moan a little bit about that, but what are we taking? 1 here, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So falling to 10 here when our opponent attacks and then sacrifices the board. So yeah, we're gonna fall to 2. Probably don't need our opponent to go through the motions. There's no way we're recovering with this hand on 2. So quick game. We're probably gonna bring in the authorities, bring in the. I think I actually do want the settles, seal aways as well. Probably don't want these sensors. Narsets. ECDs actually might be quite good. We cut ECDs in another match before. I think they might be okay in this matchup. Maybe like trim and absorb. Maybe trim and ECD. Maybe like an explore. Grafdigger's Cage shuts down cat combo. Maybe want like a single one of them and cut the... Yeah, we just want one cage, I think. Okay, game 2 against Rakdos Sacrifice. And yeah, this looks okay. Not a turn 1 authority, but turn 2. I think that's good enough. It will stop that Dreadhorde Butcher. Hopefully... actually, we could have played it turn 1 with the Plains. And I think I actually would have. If we get Four.Vs here, that's going to be real unfortunate. Unfortunately, we didn't get Four.Vs, but that was quite the mistake I made. That's rushing off without looking at our lands. We don't have that many white sources, untapped white sources, so I assumed we just wouldn't have one. But this Authorities hopefully can do some work. But you know, already doing work. So Felidar on turn 4, and then maybe just a 3/3 Krasis on the next turn. Gonna save this Fable Passage for when we have the Felidar Retreat down. But yeah, this Authority essentially nullifies this cat each turn. They just gain 1 life off of it now. So we'll get this down before our opponent can answer it, but they are in Jund, so they do have the green. Oh, Reclamation Sage. Depends what they go for, though. They're going for the Felidar Retreat. Makes sense. Reclamation Sage. Oof. Oh, top deck the other Felidar Retreat. You know it. Yeah, we'll make a 2/2 cat. And then we'll just make another 1 instant speed. Yeah, this is whenever a player sacrifices, so we want to sacrifice this now. And this Priest of the Forgotten Gods means we want to be making multiple creatures. I'm probably just going to 4/4 Krasis next turn, draw 2, gain 2. We're kind of a Wrath of God away from just closing the board. So opponent gets to ping both of our creatures down. We ping one, we sacrifice the other. Very powerful synergy. So going to make another cat here. Our opponent can sort of do the same thing again. They can ping our cat with a Mayhem Devil. And then we'll have to sacrifice the Hydroid Krasis to the Priest. Oh, Reclamation Sage. That's going to leave us with nothing going on. And now our opponent can sacrifice the 2 Rec Sages. They have the push, so they clearly don't want to sacrifice here. I think we're just going to trade this off, since it represents more damage with the priest. Yeah, we're just left with nothing now. Drawn a few too many lands. I mean, all these lands would have been good if our opponent didn't have double Reclamation Sage. I mean, we got quite lucky. We played one, they blew it up, and then top decked the other one straight after, which is really good. But then they obviously had the Reclamation Sage again. So yeah, unfortunate here. We'll take away that haste though. So hopefully our opponent attacks with both priests here. They're not going to attack both priests, so this Crawling Barons is going to be quite poor here. We'll still put some counters on it, since why not? Uro's okay. I guess they're going to get to take it. They'll probably have a... they have no cards in hand, actually. So they probably won't get to reclaim the Firstborn if they have it, but they will get to sack it with a priest. Yeah, I guess we're going to take a third damage from this. Or 2 more damage. So, don't really know what we could draw at this point. Maybe like a Seal Away. Authority might be a little bit slow now. So we're taking 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We'll see what our opponent does. They probably sack here. I could see them sacking their 2 Dreadhorde Butchers. So they sack them 2. We take 2. I guess we'll just see how this goes, but we're taking a lot of damage. Taking 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 6 on the next turn. 6, yeah, that's just lethal. Good game, opponent. Couldn't stop Jund Sacrifice from running us over. Okay, we get to go first, and this hand looks like quite typical. We're going to keep. The only thing that can make this hand better is a Felidar Retreat. We're playing some, as you can tell from our colours, some Bant Control. And going to probably go Growth Spiral into Narset. Hopefully get something good, maybe like a Felidar Retreat. Save this Fable Passage if possible. And Hydroid Crisis to finish up. I think like 90, obviously this statistic isn't true, but it feels like 90 to 95% of lists are running Four.Vs at the moment. So you always got to go for that probability of a turn 1 Four.Vs. You pair that with Fatal Push at the moment. Some pretty good cards. Looks like we might be against Rogues. I don't know if Rogues run Four.Vs. I think they do. We'll see. Our opponent could be on the Neoform combo, but I think that's normally played in best of 1. Since you got quite a bit of cardboard, quite a bit of hate in the sideboard for Neoform. Opponent just deciding what they would like to do. Oh, it looks like they might be on Neoform combo. It looks very plausible now. Just a Wall of Blossom. They could be on like Defenders. So hopefully we draw a Felidar Retreat next turn. Or we get one off the Narset if our opponent doesn't deal damage to it. And then this Fable Passage should be quite good. No, ECD, but let's go digging again. Unfortunately not. So we're just going to lay this out and pass turn. We get to stop our opponent from doing something relevant. And also get to Growth Spiral. I don't count an Opt as relevant. So not sure what our opponent's up to. They're on Teamer though. So it looks like they might have nothing. Maybe they're just playing like Teamer good stuff. And we're doing all of this before sacking the Fable Passage, since to see if we find a Felidar Retreat. Don't think we're going to cycle this land, since we still do want to hit land drops. Just going to hold up Absorb. Our opponent's not doing anything at the moment, though. They know about the counter spell, though, so they might be trying to bait it. So I don't really want to just tap down. Might try and counterspell something and yeah, maybe follow up with a Crisis. So I think we need to stop this. It looks like our opponent is on Neoform combo though. So ECD is essentially useless. Do we just let this happen? I think we stop this and we tap down with Hydroid Crisis next turn, so we can try and draw some more cards. Normally the rule is you counter the spell that they target with these reanimation effects, not the spell that gets them. But I think because we're going to tap down for Crisis, it's worthwhile. So we can Crisis for 4. Guess we have to sacrifice first. So X equals 6, I guess. Get to draw 3. And then if our opponent can combo off this turn, they can combo off this turn. We'll see. We didn't have any interaction anyway, so I don't know if it's worth just bluffing it. Feel we can beat Neoform game 2 and 3 with Grafdigger's Cage and we'll decline, put it on the bottom, just like counterspell with Grafdigger's Cage and Dovin's Vetoes. Just gonna get drawing with Teferi. So I guess we get to untap. So we'll cycle this irrigated farmland instead, since I think we need to find something. And our opponent can't draw any extra cards. Looks like our opponent's really struggling to find the combo. But we have no interaction, so if they do find this combo, we're gonna die quite quickly. I wonder if we like tuck the Wall of Blossoms. So if they find Neoform, I guess they need 2 things anyway. The Water Blossoms doesn't really help. So I'm just going to get back the Uro. Just going to pass the turn here. As of next turn, we should be able to pump these Crawling Barons up. Uro's going to be attacking. Our opponent really has to find something soon. We're going to cycle the Sensor since it's useless. And we have how many absorbs left? 2 absorbs left in 29 cards. Opponent's gonna scoop it up, and fair enough. Like, but we had nothing. If our opponent had the combo, then we did not have a way to stop them. But we have our sideboard hate for this. Gonna cut the board wipes since they don't matter. Sensors can probably go as well. I guess ECDs go first. Run it like that. Okay, game 1 against Neoform combo, and if our opponent can't answer this Grafdigger's Cage, it's gonna do work. So we're gonna keep. Opponent shocked for the opt, didn't they? Let's see if they can answer this cage. They definitely could have a Braid. A Braid is a very real card that I'd imagine they'll be sideboarding in. Since Cage is going to come in almost 100% of the time against this list. So we get to just do some very fair things at the moment. Go Narset into Felidar Retreat. I guess we could hold up Absorb, but we're just going to tap down here. If our opponent has a counterspell, yep, they've got a counterspell. I'd rather them counter the Narset than the Felidar Retreat. This is going to close the game quite quickly. Night Pack Ambusher. So while our opponent gets their combo piece down, I think we too shall get our combo piece down. This is a strange list though. I don't even know if they are. They've got to be a Neoform combo, haven't they? Well, if we just boarded completely wrong. Gonna pass a turn. Hold up Absorb. Maybe should have played Cinder Barons so we could have activated if we wanted to. Yeah, so this is how our opponent's going to combo. And I think we're going to do this while our opponent's tapped down because there's every chance they have negate next turn. Gonna take this hit. Gonna copy the Night Pack Ambusher. Nice. So we probably boarded wrong. Gonna make a 4/4 here, and hopefully this holds them back. If they can combo next turn, they can combo next turn. We gotta play to the board a little bit here. Otherwise, we're gonna die to these Night Pack Ambushers. They got to play for a Grafdigger's Cage as well. Oh, nice. Opponent has the triple Night Pack Ambusher, and we're gonna block. I guess we'll block all 3. We lose our extra token if our opponent has a removal spell for the Hydroid Crisis, but they could. It's more likely that they have a 3 damage burn spell. So we've got to create an extra token here. And just gonna tuck. So I guess we tuck the one that's slightly more expensive. Has flash, but I don't know if it's going to matter. And unfortunately we are on chump block mode. But if our opponent decides to, they don't have any interaction, or they use their interaction now. No. I guess we might be, no, we're on chump block mode, but we get to tick up with the Teferi next turn. And we get to activate Crawling Barons. So we're not in a great situation. There's no reason for them to play the Night Pack Ambusher now. Yeah, opponent gets to attack with both. So really we need like an Uro here, I guess. I'd love to double block the Night Pack or the Wolf. So we probably sideboarded wrong here. We probably need to bring in our board wipes again. Yep, that's gonna be game. Is it gonna be game? Maybe not. Let's see how our opponent plays it. Since if our opponent decides to flash in this Night Pack Ambusher, that might screw them a little bit. Since we get to gain some life now. So we might actually get another turn here. So I think we have to counter this. We counter this and go up to 9, and then we block here and take 6. So we get another draw. Maybe we boarded out our board wipes, though. I guess we didn't have to counter this since the Grafdigger's Cage is in play. We're going to scoop it up, though. So close to the edge. It looks like we need to plan better for these Night Pack Ambushers. Yeah, we took out our board wipes as well, so we'll bring them back in. Don't think timely reinforcements is what we want. Seal away might be what we want, though. Cut 1. They have mystical disputes. Maybe these just aren't any good. Yeah, we'll play some number of them. Okay, game 3 going in against, I think it's Neoform combo, but our opponent we haven't seen a Neoform. This has sort of been beat down, so we could be boarding completely wrong, but we've kept it in the cage just in case. I don't want to lose to the Neoform combo. But we get to go, we're just basically trying to stop our opponent's Pack Beast. Or a Night Pack Ambusher even. Pack Beast. Keep thinking about Pack Beast because we recorded a draft earlier today, which should be going up on the channel soon, so keep an eye on that. Was a very fun draft to play. Made some big headway. So opponent has like a mystical dispute here, but they can't counter this. They might have a negate. So I feel in an okay position here. Not going to go to Fairy. We're going to wait for our opponent to tap down. And they have to do something because of the Felidar Retreat. So if our opponent goes the Night Pack Ambusher here, then I think we're good. Yep. Gonna let this resolve. They get to eat our cat. It might be better to tick up there, but our opponent could have removal for our cat. So we're just going to get that way while we can. Hope to untap with Teferi. And we do, so I think we're in a good position now. So I would love some Growth Spirals, some Uro here, just to put multiple lands into play. But a few more turns with Teferi and we should be okay. Ooh, double Felidar Retreat. Stick up first. I think we're going to go for the double Felidar Retreat. Still get to hold up the Absorb. Going to make cats this turn, and we will put counters on next turn. So they need Nightpack Ambusher here and a Mystical Dispute. Yeah. I guess we can counter this. If our opponent has a Mystical Dispute, then they can't cast the Brazen Borrow side anyway. But if we don't counter this, then we lose the cat, and then they just cast Brazen Borrow and kill our Teferi. So I don't mind them countering the Absorb here, but it means they won't get to cast the other side. So our Teferi will live to fight another day. Oh, opponent has Pact. Well, I guess we lose our Teferi, but they have to spend 5 mana in their upkeep. Well, actually, no. I guess we get to tick up. Yeah, okay. So we get another opportunity to save it here with Seal Away. And I don't know what our opponent could have. Feels good boarding in these Seal Aways now. Gonna spark the concession as well. We're coming in for, what's that, 4, 8, 12. Oh yeah, we just had lethal on board with our cats. So even if our opponent connected with the Teferi there, we were golden. Okay, so Bant Control against whatever our opponent's playing, and we're going to keep this. We get to turn 2 Growth Spiral into Uro, and hopefully we draw lands. 28 land deck, we should hit lands. Looks like it might be against Colourless. Yeah, Colourless. So I think we played Colourless earlier, and we did okay. It's really whether we can hold our counter spells down. Keep them locked down, but opponent's missing land drops. They kept to 1 lander. They're going to scoop it up there. Let's see if they want to go to a game 2. They might just be conceding there. But I'm going to assume that they're on the combo with the Mystic Forge. So we're going to bring in Grafdigger's Cage. We're going to cut their Sensor might get them. Cut. Probably cut and explore. Okay, so opponent's chosen for us to go first, even though we won the last game. So that's something new. Think we can mulligan this hand away. Just not really good enough. This hand looks a lot better. We're going to keep this. And probably put... probably Veto on the bottom, since we have more counter spells than ways to close the game with Felidar Retreat. Let's see what our opponent says about turn 1 Cage. Opponent's not phased by it. That makes me really regret putting the Dovin's Veto on the bottom. Mulliganing on the play really does hurt. Probably going to see some 2-mana ramp here. Yep, we'll show them our 2-mana ramp. So we get to go Felidar Retreat next turn. So kind of just really looking for a Fable Passage here. This is essentially a dead draw. So yeah, Fable Passage would probably be our best draw. Nice. Opponent's going for Khan. Let's see what they get. Maybe like a Ratchet Bomb or something. If they're going for the Mystic Forge combo. They are on the Paradoxical Engine Mystic Forge combo, so... And I think we're just going to Hydroid Crisis for 2. Draw 1. So we can try and kill this Khan next turn. We also have a veto now. So opponent is on the Paradox Engine Mystic Forge combo, I assume, and Grafdigger's Cage will hopefully shut that down. And if they have like a Ratchet Bomb, they're going to go fine. Then we have the second one. So if opponent lays a land next turn, they'll have 7 mana, so 1 off of Ugin. So I think we can afford to tap down for the Felidar Retreat for 1 more turn. And I think we are going to tap down. Hopefully, even if our opponent has a land drop, we should be okay. They'd have to go like 6 mana Ugin into like 4 Mind Stones. Or like into loads of Power Stone shards. Oh ho 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 ho! Nice. Opponent's doing it in a different way. The Metalwork Colossus, not something I saw coming. So probably wants Sealaways. Just to lock this down. Looks like our opponent might be able to like combo here, or semi-combo. They're going to gain a lot of mana. They shouldn't be able to go infinite though. Mystic Forge should see to that. So our opponent goes to get here. Ratchet Bomb combined with Mystic Forge would be really good. Oh, Witch's Oven. I love this list so much, though. I don't mind sitting and watching our opponent combo with it, as long as they're doing it relatively fast. Oh, I guess our opponent can actually... Can they win here? Because they can just gain infinite life. Is that right? Because they gain 2 life with the monument each turn. They play this, untap all their permanents, and they sack it again, and each turn they gain 2 life. But they have to have an 8. So it's if they have an Aetherflux Reservoir in hand. If opponent shows us the Aetherflux Reservoir, I won't make them go for the combo. But I'm going to skip ahead for you guys. Essentially, yeah, what our opponent's going to do is they're going to... I guess they're going to draw and look for it. But this is their last draw. They sacrifice in response, but they're essentially going to use Witch's Oven to sacrifice Metalwork Colossus to make 2 food tokens, to then sacrifice the 2 food tokens to Colossus to return it. But each time they cast Colossus, they're getting 2 life off of the monument and untapping all of their permanents. So they untap the oven so they can do it all again. So I'm going to speed through this, but you understand the combo. Okay, so opponents just cast a Mystic Forge, but they're not going to be able to cast cards due to Grafdigger's Cage. So they've still got to try and find their Aetherflux Reservoir, which I assume is how they're winning the game. Opponent is running down the clock as well, so because I'm going to speed through it, I'm actually going to make them do this, since I do believe the clock is part of this. Opponent gets to keep exile. I guess now what they get to do is, yeah, they get to exile with Mystic Forge until they find the right piece, and then draw with Mind Stone or draw with Tome. And they probably have enough cards, but we're going to make our opponent go through this, and I'm going to speed up for you. Okay, looks like our opponent either couldn't continue to combo or didn't find what they need. But now we get to hold up Dovin's veto, so feel pretty good about that. We can also hit our opponent's Karn down, so they won't be able to activate it. Opponent's going to essentially have infinite mana, so it's not going to matter. So let's cycle to see if we hit land first. We do hit land. So we want to put counters on first and then make a 2/2 cat. Can our opponent stop the Hydroid Crisis? No. So let's see if they can combo. But now they have to cast an Aetherflux Reservoir through our Dovin's veto. So, but now we have to manually click through all of these triggers. But nevertheless, going to speed up for you guys again. So gotta stop the Karn here, since that's going to be able to get the Aetherflux Reservoir. And I think we've definitely lost this game. It's a matter of, I think, running our opponent's clock down, since they've used up 10 more minutes than us. It doesn't feel like it because you've watched this at like 500 times speed or 700 times speed, but I have had to sit through this for your pleasure. Unfortunately, we don't have double blue to play the Narset. So if we put 2 counters, it's going to make it a 5/5. It's still not going to be able to block. So I guess we just make 2 cats. And pass turn. So let's see if our opponent can combo again. Okay, so here we go. Our opponent has the Aetherflux Reservoir. They're gonna fire the massive laser, I would assume, in a second. They have 92 life, pretty safe to do so. Looks like they're gonna gain a bit more life first. I'm not sure our opponent's playing out. They have 1 card left in library. And they could fire it, hold priority, and fire it again if they wanted to. So there might be. They've held priority for saying, yeah, they're going to fire it twice and go to 8. Whoa. Just for the massive flex that our opponent's got. So Grafdigger's Cage, they did blow up Grafdigger's Cage, so it does slow them down a bit. Makes it more difficult to combo, but still not it's not impossible for them to combo through it. We don't really have much in the way of what we want to do. This is it. We need to just hope we have enough counter spells and hope we can slow our opponent down. I guess we can bring in the ECDs. Maybe it's better than like a cage. Since cage kind of like slows our opponent, but doesn't stop them altogether. Okay, so despite our opponent picking for us to go first in game 2, even though we won game 1, we're going to go first. And we're going to keep this. This hand looks really reasonable. We even have the Fable Passage for our Felidar. So let's play out the farmland first. Hand's a little bit slow. We'd really like one of our 2 mana accelerants, since I can assure you our opponent will have one, especially if they're scrying to the top. But there you go. Ask and thou shalt receive. So, gotta really hope that this is fast enough. But we get to Uro next turn, put a land into play, sack the land, and then maybe Uro again. Depending on if we draw land. Don't know if it's going to be fast enough. Looks like it might not. Triple Fable Passage, though. Our opponent has 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So, land is Ugin mana. So I think we might keep up a sensor. So I don't think we can afford to play out the second Uro. Just because we want to hold up sensor in case our opponent has an Ugin. Since Ugin would close this game imminently. All these Fable Passage, though, are going to get us a ton of cats, and Uro's going to get us even more. Hopefully our opponent just taps down for Ugin. Forsaken Monument, nope. Can't stop that, and now the sensor's useless. Shields are down. So, plan is to find a counterspell. Oh, opponent has Mystic Forge. They have 1 mana available as well. I guess we'll tutor and see if we can find a Dovin's Veto. And we'll make a cat. I say we'll tutor, we'll cycle, I meant. Nope, no such luck. Opponent gets the Mystic Forge down. They don't have enough mana for Paradox Engine. What did they exile? Radiant Fountain. So they don't need more mana at the moment. They have 1 card left in hand. And they scryed bottom. So opponent, we have 5 cards in graveyard. So I think we're just going to put counters on now. Try and close this the best we can. Actually, I think we just want to play this Ugin out. How much are we going to be attacking for? 5, 10, 15, 20. So there's literally no point in playing the 20. If we animate this now... God, if we'd have animated this earlier, would this work? 2, 3... So we could attack our opponent down to 2. And then I guess the Cinder Barons is lethal next turn. 3, 4... I guess we can't because we don't have the mana this turn. So if our opponent's going to Ugin next turn, then we probably don't want to play out our Uro from the graveyard. So put more counters on stuff. And then we will just animate and smack our opponent. And then, if our opponent Ugin's here, it will just be enough with the Crawling Barons. They got a Khan. Oh, they're going to get Paradox Engine. Can they combo here? I don't think our opponent can combo here. Oh, they have 11 mana, actually. Yeah, our opponent can combo, I think. Ah, we were 1 turn off. I wonder if there was a way to have done that a turn sooner. We got down a turn 3 Felidar Retreat on the play. And it took us 2 turns to assemble this board. Yeah, opponent, if they have another spell in hand. They have 6 mana. No, Hedron Archive off the top. Nice. So opponent should be able to combo here, and they have 13 minutes left on the clock. I think they use like... Well, I mean, they used like 15 last game. So it might take them that long to do it again. I doubt it, since they don't have a Grafdigger's Cage slowing them down. They're just going to go grab the Aphid Flux Reservoir now, since with the Mystic Forge and the Hedron Archives, our opponent shouldn't fizzle. So they're going to sack a Hedron Archive here, I assume, or they're going to draw. I assume that's not a non-land on top. Sphere, yeah, it's going to be very difficult for our opponent to fizzle here. I think we're just going to scoop it up. Our opponent has the combo. You guys watched it in high speed last game, so we're not going to make our opponent go for it again. Howdy guys, cheers for sticking around till the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed the gameplay. This is my variation of Bant Control. So we set out to answer a question, and we've done this a few times on the channel. Is Control viable in the historic format? And more importantly, is Bant Control viable? Probably not. You saw from the games, it folds to a lot of things. It is pretty good. If you can ramp out early, get a Felidar Retreat in play, and then sit behind your counter spells, then yeah, it's really good. But I think I'd prefer just getting a Torrential Gearhulk or Dream Trawler down. That just seems like a better deal to me. Felidar Retreat dies to so much artifact and enchantment hate. A lot of things that aren't artifacts also aren't enchantments, and people are running them in their sideboard. So Felidar Retreat dies to that, and then you're left with sort of a worse version of Sultai control and Azorius control. So you should just be playing one of them, really. How would I rank it so far? I'd probably rank Azorius, then Jeskai, then Bant. It's probably doing the worst out of all of them. But nevertheless, it was really fun to play. Felidar Retreat is a fun card, but it's probably just not the right shell. Felidar Retreat probably wants to go in a more dedicated list without ECDs, without board wipes, without Teferis. Probably you still want to run the Hydroid Crasis, probably about Narsets and counterspells as well. You just want to be drawing loads of cards and putting loads of lands into play with Felidar Retreat. You probably run this in like Gruul instead. That's probably going to be a better list. Maybe with Scoot Swarm, which is something we could try on the channel really soon as well, which could be super fun to do. But let me know what you guys thought. Did you think Bant Control was any good? Did you think there's maybe a different way of building the list? Maybe you guys have got your own list. If you have got your own list, drop it down in the comments down below. I'd love to look at it. And this is something we will pick up in a few weeks again and refine further. So love the considerations and what you think might be wrong with this. Please do let me know. But yeah, that's it. Stuff coming up on the channel. Remember that we have a constructed video every other day. We're either doing a random video like Colourless or Doom Foretold in Standard or Anointed Procession, Breaking Arena, whatever we might be doing. And then also on one of them days, we might be doing our Is Control Viable mini-series that we've got at the moment, and upcoming next will be Grixis, Esper, Sultai, Dimir. I'm not sure the list, but one of them will be coming up soon, and then we'll be going back round and refining them. So it'll be an ongoing series, since I love Control and it's quite fun to do, and it gives me an excuse to play it. And then obviously we have them constructed videos every other day between them two. And then the other day we have a limited video that goes on the channel. So if you're in the mood for constructed, then come back every other day. If you're in the mood for limited, come back every other day. And if you're in the mood for both, then come back every day. And the best way to catch them is by subscribing to the channel. You can do that down below, I guess. Normal way, you don't need me to tell you. And if you enjoyed this video, I'd really appreciate if you did drop it a like. Because I'm such a new YouTube channel, it does mean a lot, and your feedback and constructive feedback is really welcome. So please drop it down and let me know what you guys want to see and how I could improve. So please do let me know. And yeah, I'm just sort of rambling now. I should probably make these endings a little bit more concise, but yeah, until then, stay safe.